This webinar is being live streamed, says my little pop-up. Oh, I'm tired. Share, copy, Patreon, create, live stream. Oh, I'm narrating. That. Okay. For some reason, this always wants to schedule instead of publish. Every time. I don't quite understand it. But anyway, there it goes. So I'm going to close this and come back here and start recording. And I'm going to start the webinar so people can log in.
Okay.
There. Oh, I've lost you.
I am not there right now.
Mom has vanished. Hello, folks. It's just you and me because Mom has done a runner. I think she'll be back.
Not very far.
There she is. I wasn't really worried. How is the weather where you are, Mom and others?
It's quite lovely here. It's been a little cool today. This is Strawberry Festival weekend. So there's all kinds of commotion downtown. And my friend Marie, who was driving in the car parade, the old fancy car parade, she has a 1984 Cadillac, white with red interior convertible.
1984.
Well, these are all old cars. There was one there from 1940 today.
Cool.
So anyway, the three of us walking friends rode in her car and waved, you know.
Oh, you were at a parade.
Wave.
Nice.
There were 70 some cars in it.
Nice.
But it was kind of cool. I mean, temperature wise this morning.
Oh, I thought you meant that it was cool to be in the parade. It sounds
Well,
like
it was both those things. But now it's warming up and we have sunshine. So
Holly, did you mean to put your hand up? Because, oh, I also need to set up the questions. Sorry to interrupt you, Mom. Oh, chat is disabled. Well, I guess she did mean to put her hand up. Let's see. Why is chat disabled? That is not supposed to be how that is. Attendees can chat with no one. Yes, it certainly is. There we go. Thanks for putting your hand up, Holly, and saying that in Q&A. It is now re-enabled. Please chat away. I would love to know what the weather is doing and what you are doing wherever you happen to be. And I will fix the Q&A thing too. There and there. Done. Does chat work now, folks? Did I click the button wrong? It should work.
it looks like it.
What is, you see people chatting?
Yes.
Oh, I saw one chat from Holly. That's all I've seen. Did you see
Fixing
more?
threading error.
Yes, okay.
That's
I'm
what
sorry.
she's up to.
I'm going to lower your hand, Holly. Sorry. It's also lovely weather here. It's maybe a little cooler today than it has been other days, but I honestly don't really know what the temperature's been like outside because I just stay inside with my heat. Yeah, Ron's saying it's 27 or 28. So.
Oh, that's comfy, isn't it? I mean, that's not too bad.
It's on the upper end of comfy. It depends on how humid it is.
Yeah.
So, oh, Okay, yeah, so compared to 107 degrees, it's
Oh, where
is
is
it
that?
Phoenix. Is that humid or that'd be pretty dry, wouldn't it? Oh, good. Chad is working and it's warm in Alabama. And Jean has just finished knitting a sweater. I hope it's cotton.
Dry but hot. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's miserable in a lot of the country right now, the whole Midwest down into the Southwest.
When we were in Denver, when I was doing the craftsy class, it was over 100, but it was so dry that it didn't feel that hot, and you didn't notice that. I didn't notice that my skin was turning into this color. Anyway, yeah, glad that it is not that hot and yucky here. So let's see, it is after 6 p.m. This is the July edition of Office Hours. We are definitely going to have Office Hours next month in August. The jury is still out on September, but I think it's going to happen. The only thing is that if it does happen, it's going to happen either on a different day, or I'm going to have to do it from the Gala College, because I will be there at the very start of the Master Weavers Level 4 class week. So, but that would be kind of fun, I think. I might even rope some of my Master Weaver cohort into showing up on camera with me. That'd be fun. Could show you the Gala College weaving studio, or wherever we happen to be set up. So, Mom, do you have a scarf report?
Well, I have a scarf I can show folks. This is one that I wove many, many years ago. Golly, I can't remember how many years ago. I wove this one, which is huck lace with a few little beads on. This is one of my first weaving things. I did it in a few colors. And I don't know how well this would work with a slippery yarn, because it tends to stay in place with this. This is a 5/2 mercerized.
Okay. We did that same thing. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember set or anything, and I was just trying to find the records, which are somewhere, but I can't find them.
After you wove those, we did a warp based on them in one of our first continuing weaving classes, but I think we used Briggs and Little singles for that wool.
Yeah, wool would hold. Be nice for a shawl.
And that would have been, we started teaching continuing weaving in 2010. So it might have been 2010 or might have been 2011, which means your scarves would have been from, I don't know how many years before that.
I can
if that helps you find the binders.
I just have one big fat binder that, but it isn't indexed in any way, so I have to just search through it. Anyway.
If only there was some cool website where you could input all of your weaving projects and collate them and search them.
Maybe there will be soon.
Maybe there will be soon.
But I'm not sure I'm going to go back and input everything. That'd be quite a task.
But maybe you have a daughter that will come and visit and do it in the evenings or something.
That's a deal.
Likes those fun kind of projects.
I would accept that in a big rush.
Okay.
Maybe
not all of your many, many anthologies, though. That's a lot of binders you've got there. Okay, so that's our scarf report. It's your turn, guys. What questions have you got? Anybody?
You didn't get any questions emailed in ahead of time?
I didn't, no. And I mean, that's fine, because that's how, I mean, office hours is supposed to be a drop in and ask.
Sure.
But no, I didn't. And I have been working on the Academy website like a mad woman for weeks now, it feels like months. So I haven't like got a weaving project to talk about.
So
Can I review from last month? Jean, I don't even remember honestly what we talked about last month, but the recording is right on the Patreon page. So you just need to scroll down a little bit and click the play button and you can watch the whole thing. And that's true of all of the office hours. You can watch every one of them repeatedly. They're all there. So you can review it that way. Holly asked if I could show the deflected double weave that I showed at the study group and talked about it. Was it the green and white one? Is that the one you mean, Holly, that I did based on, oh, right. It was the one that I did. Is it the one that I did from the profile draft that I had posted to the Weaving with Janet Dawson website? Is that the one you mean? Well, if it's not that one, oh, okay, it is that one. Alrighty, yes, I will do that. Certainly I will. So this came about because I was getting ready for the name drafting class seminar thing that I did last month. Oh my God, almost a month ago now. Time is like, it goes away. So anyway, I did the name drafting thing with Jigger seminar. And in advance of doing that, I updated and refined and fixed some of the things in the name draft generator so that it can produce profiles that you can open in Fiberworks or handweaving.net and then apply different weave structures to. And one of the ones that I generated, let me see. It'll just take me a little while to find the relevant thingies. Oh, look at that. They're still in my weaving history, I only have 6. Fiberworks shows 6 recent files, and the ones that I want are in that list. That shows you how much I have been working with Fiberworks in the past almost month. Okay, so the profile draft that I generated using the name draft generator that's on my website looked like this. And I posted this to the Weaving with Janet Dawson page. And then I started thinking about, okay, so here's the profile. What besides overshot, I can do it in overshot on 4 shafts, but what other structures would it look interesting in? And I tried it in lace, and it looked quite predictable. And I tried it in a couple of different things. And then I thought, I wonder what it would look like as deflected double weave. So there are various ways to translate a overshot threading into deflected double weave, but this isn't an overshot threading, this is a profile. And I'm gonna, I don't honestly remember which steps I used at the time, but I will show you the result that I got. And then I'll see if I will work through one approach and we'll see if I get the same results or if I get something different. So this is not what this is that same threading translated into using one method to translate it into deflected double weave. And I think this is super cool. I haven't decided yet whether I want to do it with like a painted warp and some solid that coordinates with it, or whether I'll just do it in solids. I like it very much. it's interesting to me because it's not just regular, it's got cool and different things going on in each one of these little boxes. And it's kind of unexpected. And I like the unexpected, especially when it has to do with overshot, because overshot is a very traditional thing, and traditional things can very easily be very expected. So I enjoy pushing them and doing sort of unexpected things with those things that normally get used in a really traditional way. So this is that draft. So let's see, to get there, I think what I did was, or at least one thing you can do. Now I'm working in Fiberworks Silver, and I'm going to use block substitution. And in Silver, you have the option to create your own blocks, define your own blocks for substitution. You cannot do that in Bronze. So I think I normally do that for deflected double weave, but I made the assertion a week or so ago in a study group that instead of defining your own blocks, you can actually use multi-shaft overshot to create the threading and the treadling anyway. Actually, the threading is all I want to do. Use those blocks for deflected double weave. And I'm going to try it and see if I am, yeah, that worked. That is what I wanted it to do. Okay, so that is okay. Obviously, this does not look like deflected double weave because all I did was translate the profile threading into a threading appropriate for deflected double weave, but it does not have the right tie up and it does not have the right treadling. So I need, for deflected double weave, I need the, well, I want in this case, the same number of treadles as I have shafts, and I am going to go ahead and weave them exactly as drawn in. Now I have a treadling that is also appropriate for deflected double weave, but since I still don't have a tie-up, I still don't have a structure that is deflected double weave. So I got to get rid of that. And then let's see, I have to think through the process each time. Generally speaking, one choice for deflected double weave is to fill in, and to explain why this is a starting place for a deflected double weave tie up is, it would be a very long conversation. I don't think it's appropriate for, actually, that's not what I want. Anyway, see, look, what I want is, I think I want plain weave in these spots, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I want a lift in the block above, maybe, and plain weave. And that one, let's just try that in each block. Plain, oops, not there. Plain weave in the block above and plain weave above. Yeah. This is gonna, I think, do something kind of right. Let's see, that's that. This is the block above. And that's plain weave. And that's the block above. And there's plain weave. So this is a thing that would give me, I think, deflected double weave. Oh God, maybe not. Let's see, let's go back to the other one and just grab that tie up. Oops, nope, not that tie up. That's the one. Oh, look at that. It's the same tie up. I did it right. It's like I know what I'm talking about. Wow. Not always the case, folks, not always the case. But yep, in this case, it is. Oh, right, of course, it doesn't look right because another property of deflected double weave is that you've got to have the alternating colors in the warp and the weft, generally speaking. And alas, in Windows Fiberworks, you cannot create color rules that make this super easy. You have to do it more manually. But I will do it manually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want all of, let's see, I've decided that, oops, that was, let's see, I'll zoom in here. If we call the block threaded up on 7 and 8D and the one on 1 and 2A and 3 and 4B and 5 and 6C. And then you want opposite blocks using borrowing terms from Overshot. Opposite blocks would be in the same color or a color, and the other pair of opposites would be in a different kind of colorway. And the way that I created this one now, 1, 2, 3, 4, means that I can't just copy paste bands of 4 blue, 4 white, 4 blue, 4 white, because look, here I have all of these in A together, and then here's all of these in B, and then 4 in A, and 8 in B, and then 8 in A. So you have to kind of go along and do this, which is kind of stinky, but you know. I also could have done this stage in the profile, which would have been 4 times as fast, because I would have had less to do. But anyhow, you assign them like that, and then when you do the trompe as writ, you want the colors as well. And there it is. There's that pattern shaping up. So I just have to keep going along, 1, 2, 3, filling in the colors. So I'm putting the colors on wherever it's threaded on 3 and 4, and wherever it's threaded on 7 and 8. Now that's because I'm using 2 colors. If I was doing something different, like, oops, no, undo, there we go. You know, I could do something more interesting with the colorways than that. No, I have not actually designed with deflected double weave enough to be able to make any generalizations about or insightful comments about how to place colors to get cool things, you know, like Natalie Drummond does. Weave is drawn in with colors, et cetera, et cetera. So Holly, that is how I did the thing. Block substitution using multi-shaft overshot. Then I guess the best steps would be to assign, well, even before you do block substitution, assign colors, 1 color to A and C and a different color to B and D right in your profile. Then block substitution with multi-shaft overshot, and then trompe as writ, exactly as drawn, colors and draft. But before that, you may have to make the number of treadles the right number. And then you construct a deflected double weave tie-up, which, unless you get into the theory of deflected double weave, means, yeah, you copy the tie-up from some other deflected double weave project and you just stick it in there. That's how I usually approach it. Okay. There you have it in a large nutshell. Okie dokie. So Holly asked another question about that draft. So I'll talk about it and then I'll come back to the questions from Kathleen and Lisa. Where you have the small blue squares, do you think you will get a big square instead? All right, let's go back here. Share this one. I mean, here, I think is probably where you mean. Let's see, let me annotate here. Oh, look, I have your questions on top of my Fiberworks. I didn't expect that. That's kind of cool. So like here, Holly, let it look and see what will happen at that spot. Oops, undo, close my annotation, close this, zoom in, put this in interlacement mode. Nope, not that. Me Fiberworks, color interlacement. All right, zoom. So if you look here at that same grid, I'm trying to position it in the window so that it's in a logical spot. Annotate. This is that area. And if you analyze where the blue and the whites are showing, you can see, so here is some white interlacing as plain weave, and here is some more white interlacing as plain weave, and there is no blue that comes up to the surface between these two, which means these white wet warp threads will be able to sort of slide in this direction. And these white warp threads will be able to slide out that direction. Wow. I did not go to art college, can you tell? And these will kind of slide and fill in this way, and these will slide and fill in that way. It's very much like lace in this respect, in that they move into the available space. Threads will always move to available space. These will come down and fill up. These will come up and fill up. And so, yes, I predict that, having made some assumptions about my fibers and materials, that this white, this window pane kind of thing will become a solid, nearly solid, depends on my set and the fibers, that kind of stuff, and cover up the blue. So the blue will be visible from the back side and the white will be visible from the front side, but it will no longer look like a window pane. There may be little blips of the blue that show through depending on fiber and set and stuff. So now I'm going to look at the back of it. The back of it. Come on, Fiberworks, show me the back. Show me the back. I probably have to close the annotation thing. What the what? Go here and show me the back. There we go. This is that same area. Oops, now I'm not annotating. And I just changed my Fiberworks draft. Annotate. Okay. This is that same area. And again, there's no white. Oh, no. Okay, so no white separating these blues. There, let's see though. This white comes, no, it's entirely behind. But see now here's blue above, and then white is above it. So this blue is not going to be able to come join up with that blue because it'll have white in the way. And vice versa. So clear, huh? Okay, let me clear this stuff. Pat asked if the draft was repeated, did I add threads? I'm not sure I understand the question. Oh, I closed the profile. Let me open the profile again. I went from the profile, which was this. Are you seeing the profile now, Mom?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I went from the profile and I used block substitution to create the deflected double weave. I did not then repeat it any further. There's already a repeat here. This is it's repeated twice. So like this, oh wait, no. Oh, well, yeah, that spot where I appear, this spot is the center point. So there's one repeat on the right and one repeat on the left. But that's all of the repeat. Does that answer your question, Pat? If not, please ask it again. Okay, so now stopping my share. Great, good. Pat says I did answer. Excellent. Kathleen says, is there an easy way to convert drafts from your name draft generator to Rising Shed? Depends on what tools you have available, Kathleen. If you mean using a tool, meaning like Fiberworks or handweaving.net. If you just want to look at it, you can open it in handweaving.net and tell handweaving.net to go to display it the opposite side. There's a button there for opposite side, and that'll show you the other way. I don't believe handweaving.net as yet has a function to change your tie-up from rising to sinking. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets added. In Fiberworks, you could open it up and then in the tie-up menu, just tell it to change from rising to sinking. But the easiest thing to do, honestly, is just to do it by hand. If you want to know what the tie-up is, as opposed to wanting to see what the cloth will look like. If what you want to do, if your goal is to see the cloth, then just open it in handweaving.net or in Fiberworks or something and look at the opposite side. If your goal is to get the rising shed tie up, then I would follow the steps that I describe in my blog post on how to do that. And I do have a tool that does it automatically, but I don't believe that's actually accessible to anybody but me, because it's still in progress. And I forgot that I even started making it. So here, I will share. And here I am on the Weaving with Janet Dawson blog. And if you scroll down a bit, you will see converting tie-ups is right here. And all the steps for how to convert tie-ups are here. This one on the left is, well, leaving out the tabby anyway, is the tie-up that you get from my name draft generator if you don't have it in profile mode. And the one on the right is what you want for a rising shed, as it happens to be. But anyway, here's how you convert them. You take your sinking shed tie-up, which is often, but not always, but often written with little X's in the tie-up. If you see X's in the tie-up, that's a pretty good indication that the tie-up is meant to be read as sinking shed. And wherever there are spaces in the tie-up, you fill in O's instead. And then you take all the X's out, and the O's are your rising shed tie-up. If you are starting with a rising shed tie-up and it has O's or numbers or X's or anything, and whatever character, whatever symbol it has there, fill something else in all of the holes and then erase the original symbols. And that is your tie-up for the other kind of shed, if that makes sense. So really what you're doing, if your tie-up is for a sinking shed, but your loom is a rising shed, you want to tie your treadles to the holes in the original tie-up rather than the symbols, the blanks, instead of the symbols. And if your tie-up is for rising shed, but your loom has a sinking shed, then again, you want to tie up your treadles to the blanks in the tie-up instead of to the symbols. And if you have a countermarch loom, you just have to tie everything up. So you fill something into, you tie one set of lambs to the blanks and the other set of lambs to the symbols. Clear as mud. All right, Lisa, this is a fabulous question. Lisa asks, I'm building my reference library. What are some books you return to? Let's see. I really like the funny little old books by Harriet Tidwell. Those are good ones. Some of the Mary Meg Atwater old ones, the shuttlecraft things, those are fun. I dig out, I go to the Bertha Gray Hayes miniature overshot book that Norma Smeda and company from the, one of the New England guilds, put together. I go there a lot because I seem to wind up talking about overshot a lot. And I like, I have several copies of Olsner, and I have several copies of Wurst. That one's really fun if you like to weave twill. He's got some neat 4 and 8 shaft twill. Strickler's, I can never remember the actual name of that book, but Carol Strickler is the editor, 8 shaft patterns or something like that. You got it handy, Mom? Of course she does. A Weaver's Book of 8 shaft patterns. Yeah, that one. Oh, and Davison, Marguerite Davison for 4 shafts. And that one that Mom just held up, Strickler for 8 shafts. Those two are for sure ones I think belong in everybody's library. And from there, it kind of depends on what your interests are. If you're interested in the technical sort of mechanics of cloth, and you're interested in how structures work and think in multi-shaft stuff, or at least see that that is going to be in your future, then I would suggest The Complete Book of Drafting by Madeline Vanderhoot and Dora Mae Keesby's book on, I'd have to look up the title of that one too. But it's Designing with Blocks, I think. Designing with Blocks by Dora Mae Keesby. There's a good one by John Tovey. If your interest is in, like, if you're looking for draft compendiums for 4-shaft books, then I would get Ann Dixon and like, I can't remember the name of that one either. Isn't it terrible? I can, see them all on the shelf, but I can't remember their names. If your interest is in learning, just learning how to weave, refining your technique, that kind of stuff, and learning just like a really good overview of weaving on 4 shafts, I would definitely recommend The Weaver's Book by Helene Bress. And if you're super keen on coverlets or overshot or double weave or some of the other structures that were traditionally used in coverlets, then Helene Bress's coverlet book, which is in 2 big volumes, is a really good one. Mom, what about you? What are your go-tos?
Well, you've covered most of them. I go to quite a few for the patterns and things, the Best of Weavers books.
Yeah.
The twill, the huck, the lace. What else is on my shelf that I look at a lot? Well, I like the Bateman book too that Harkin put out. That's kind of a cool one.
There's several good ones for Richard Heddle, if that's in your interest, your field of interest. Sign Mitchell has one. Jane Patrick has one. The old kind of classics by Betty Davenport. Donna Sullivan. If you're interested in overshot, I think it's Redesigning a Tradition, Weaving Overshot, is excellent. And there's a Donna Muller book on lace, if lace is of interest. Mastering Weave Structures by Sharon Alderman is an interesting one too. I don't haul it out as often as I should. There's probably treasures in there I'm not even aware of. There's yes.
Jennifer Moore's Double Weaves book is really excellent for 4 or 8 shafts. Yeah, so when your interest narrows to a certain structure or a certain kind of group of structures, then we could list all kinds of other things. So it depends on your areas of interest. Somebody asked in the chat for a Hand Weaving Academy update, and I'm only mentioning that now because one of the things that I've had on my list since day one of designing and planning for the Academy is top 10 lists of, like, let's ask Jennifer Moore, what are her top 10 weaving books, or what would she recommend? Top 10 things you recommend to read about double weave. Let's ask Laura Fry what her top 10 weaving books are, and Mom and me and Tien, and of course, and other people too. But I'm hoping to have those kind of book lists because I think it'd be really fun to see what other weavers have on their short list, what they would take to the desert island. Along with their loom, of course. Yeah. So, you can read about weaving without actually weaving. That's when I go to Mom's, I always wind up by the 2nd or 3rd day. I have a queen bed all to myself, and I'm like sleeping on 1/3 of it, and the other 2/3 of the bed is just stacks of books because she has books that I don't have at home. If you're into shadow weave, then Powell, is it Powell? Susan Powell, maybe? Oh, I don't have that book. You used to. You used to have a couple of copies of it, actually, and I only stole one. Well, maybe it's here somewhere.
It must be. It must be. I remember having it on the bed.
You still have your Fiberworks open.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. Or my blog. You're right. I do. There, it's gone now.
Yeah, we were just looking at tie-ups.
Sorry. Warning. I was looking at them too and didn't even realize. So, you guys, what's on your desert island weaving reading list? What would you make sure to take with you if you could only take one thing or two things? If you could only take one, Mom, what would you take?
Oh, probably Strickler. I mean, it's not to read, but it's the book I go to the most often.
For designing?
Yeah, for finding things that I design, patterns that I might like to try, or as a place to start messing around and changing. I can't imagine not having that book.
Mm-hmm.
I use it much more than I do like Davison. I used to use Davison when I started weaving a lot, but I only had a 4-shaft loom then.
Right. Yeah, Davison is indispensable if you only have a 4-shaft loom.
Right.
I shouldn't say it that way. If you only have 4 shafts. Because there's absolutely nothing wrong with only having 4 shafts. Today there was it was the Prince George Fiber Arts Guild Sunday Seminar Series. And Jane Stafford was speaking about the weavers that she has worked with it's an organization named Sabahar. They're in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And it is amazing what those folks do on 2 shafts. Same as the folks in India, the folks in Turkey, and a lot of the world. We in North America tend to have this idea that more shafts is more better, and that fancy, shiny, highly engineered tools will necessarily make us better weavers and will produce better cloth, and is better than having less what's the word? Jane used a word. Sophisticated, that was it. Tools. And that is certainly not the case.
You know, what people do with a backstrap loom is truly amazing.
Right. I don't know if anybody else in the audience will find this at all interesting, but Ron and I have just finished watching a 40-episode Chinese TV show on Netflix about a team of esports, which is like video game players. And the comment is made several times in this episode that it's not the equipment that you have, it's the skill that you have, it's what you do with it. So, in the context of video games, it doesn't matter how fancy your sword or your armor is, it's the player that matters. And as I was watching this presentation on the Sabahar weavers today, I was thinking, totally, it doesn't matter what equipment you have, it's the skill and the mastery and the creativity of the person using the equipment. I mean, there's still benefits to having equipment that has more options if you want to have more options. So one of the things Jane was talking about was helping them expand their repertoire. They wanted to expand their repertoire to some laces and some 4-shaft wills and stuff. So that was one of the things she's worked with them doing. But that doesn't make them better weavers. It doesn't make it better cloth. It just makes it different cloth. All right, anything else in the queues? Nothing in the queues. So Janet has asked for an Academy update. I have been beavering away on the website trying to get the various components to work. So, I mean, we've got a lot of classes set up, and the structure of the class is set up so that we can just fire in the information. It sounds like it's just that easy to write a weaving class, which is not the case. But when the weaving classes get written, we have a structure to put them into. And the community stuff is mostly set up with chat, like groups and forums and that kind of stuff. Where things are, where I'm having problems are these just sort of weird things that we want to do on the website that apparently nobody has tried doing before, or at least nobody that our website developer has worked with before. So it's things like, how do you make a button that somebody can click on and automatically register for a Zoom webinar? And how do you make sure that the people who are supposed to see that button see it, and the people who are not supposed to see the button don't see the button? And how do you make sure, like the current thing that was making me pull my hair out the other day is that when I would post something in a forum, I would immediately not be able to see my own posts, but other people could see them. So these things are obviously problematic. They will totally be working by the time of launch, but that's what I've been playing with right now. So we, the expectation is to have a robust, well, we'll develop it over time, catalog of classes, to have a pretty cool, in website speak, they're called knowledge bases, which is so jargony, but they're like repositories of information. Did I already talk about this? I feel like I've already said this. I don't know if it was in office hours or someplace else. But
S&M.
Yeah, which is, she means support and mentoring.
Yes, yes.
Or
right.
Possibly, is it Sue and Mary, or were there a bunch of?
Oh, initially everybody in the group had names that started with either an S or an M. But that was like 15, 20 years ago now.
So they repurposed the initials to support and mentoring. But even then, Mom would say, "Oh, I'm off to my S&M meeting." And this was before 50 Shades of Grey or anything, but it was always a very odd conversation. Now I'm in that support and mentoring group and I say I'm off to S&M, and other people are like, what? So how did I get on that? Where were we coming from?
You were talking about something that has to do with the academy that you had already mentioned at.
Right. And that was, the knowledge base.
Right.
So an example of a knowledge base is like help files. How do you use the website? How do you navigate around what's a group, what's a forum, what's a class? What's this button do? And we have that, of course. But another example that I'm excited about is what I'm calling the Weaver's Toolbox. And that has things like, how do you hem stitch? How do you wind a bobbin? How do you wind a pern? How do you do this? How do you tell, is my loom rising shed or sinking shed? How do I convert a tie-up from rising shed to sinking shed? How do I do these weaving tasks that need to get done? So they're all in one place and easy to search. I'm excited about that one. And it will have, some of those will be text, some of those will be video, some of those will be both. So that, like, when we're teaching a class and we say in the class, okay, so hem stitch at the end of the project, we don't have to explain every time how you hem stitch. It's just a link that's over here to the knowledge base. And there's videos and exposition, and here's how you hem stitch. Oh, and here's how you do a cap and only knot. And oh, here's how you do this, and how you do ladder hem stitching, or so they call it lattice hem stitching, or this or that or the other. And then, another example would be those top 10 lists. What books are, super interesting to the most people, whatever. And then, of course, so we've got the knowledge bases, we've got the community, which will have conversations and forums and to discuss the classes, but also just to discuss weaving stuff in general. And we have events as part of the community. And we will continue to have weave alongs in the style that Tian and I have been doing of a cover, and some in a different style. And then we'll also have, I'm not sure if it's going to happen at launch, but shortly thereafter, the studio stuff, which is what I mentioned earlier, what I was alluding to earlier about being able to input your project. And, you know, here are all the looms that I have, and here are all the reeds that I have, and here's all the yarn that I have, and I'm using this yarn and that reed on that loom to weave this project. And I've done it at this set, and it has this kind of a hand, and da-da-da, so that later I can go along and say, okay, well, now I'm going to use 8-2 unmercerized cotton, and I'd like to weave a tea towel. Well, who else has done that? And what set did they use? And were they happy with it? Would they like a different set? And, you know, how did they wet finish it? And this and that and the other, because that is a vast knowledge base that we all want to, well, that I think will be super useful to a lot of people to be able to access. I mean, probably the most common question that I field, and Mom, I don't know if this is true for you, but it's, how do I set, what's the right set for this to do that? All the time. And the master yarn chart is a fabulous resource, but it's static. You know, the copy that I'm looking at is from 2014 or something, although there are probably newer ones. And they tell you, here are 3 good numbers, but they aren't able to tell you in a 4-page handout, okay, yes, this is a good number, but it assumes this and that and the other. And if this is true and that is true, then maybe these are better numbers, et cetera, et cetera. Because I mean, you just can't do that in a static document, but you can in a website where you can look through the project history of hopefully hundreds or thousands of other weavers and get aggregate data. I mean, you hear about data mining as if it's a bad thing, and often it is, but wow, way to harness the power of data mining for weaving good. So there, in a nutshell, an Academy update. We are planning to launch this fall. The timing is still not perfectly set in stone because of those other things that I was mentioning earlier. Like the fact that I discovered the other day that the system that is in place for registering for like those Zoom webinars will allow a person to register, 74 times for themselves and all of their favorite houseplants. So, we just have some small things like that to work out. But once they're all working out, then we will launch to an intrepid group of people who are hopefully willing to put up with us while we figure out the last few weird things. All right. Anything else, folks? It is 6:50. You've got another 40 minutes if you want them, but if there aren't questions, we could all go outside and play in our nice sunny summer days, except for Elaine. Don't go outside when it's 107 degrees. Stay indoors. Drink liquids. Anybody? All right. Well, I wait to see if anything pops up in the Q&A. I'm just going to check on the date of our next date. Office date would be August 21st. Sunday, August 21st. So, there's a queue. Huzzah! About the study. Oh, Kate would like to know about the study group where I posted the profile draft. That is that that S&M support and mentoring study group of the Seattle Weavers Guild. When COVID happened, many guilds, including the Seattle Guild, moved online. And with the upshot that people like me, who I've been a member of the Seattle Guild since 2010, but I can only ever go to one meeting a year, the one where I'm at Mom's house. And that's been the extent of my involvement in the guild. Well, now it's online, which meant I could join in all the study groups, and I could go to the guild meetings because they're online. I could volunteer my services for online things. So I've been able to help vicariously through Mom with some of the guild sale stuff by helping with the Square site and things. And one of the things that members of the guild can do is to participate in study groups that are online. And several of them have either stayed entirely online or have hybrid meetings. Well, the guild meetings are hybrid. I'm not sure if there's any study groups that are hybrid, but one of the study groups that has stayed entirely online, and I think intends to stay entirely online, is the support and mentoring study group, which meets it meets twice a month. And one of those monthly meetings is just a free-for-all, and the other one is a free-for-all followed by a sort of focused discussion on the topic we've chosen for the month. And what it means is that members of the guild, wherever they happen to be, which is spread out over quite a large area of Washington state, but also now, since COVID, spread out across the US and other countries. And anybody who's a member of the guild can log on to the Zoom meeting and chit chat. And the idea of the support and mentoring group specifically, and Holly, I hope will leap in and correct me if I say anything wrong here, or Mom used to be the study group leader. Holly is the current study group leader of this particular study group. So they are the authorities. I should really just let Mom explain this, but I've been talking, so now I'm just going to keep rolling on with it. The focus of this one is that anybody who's like tackling a problem with their loom, their cloth, or whatever can log into the study group and ask everybody else for help, input, advice, troubleshooting, or you can show up to be that resource for other people. And of course, most of us are playing both roles at the same time, so maybe Mom comes with a question and we all kind of talk it over and try to figure out how to resolve it. And then somebody else has a question and Mom's got some insight on how to solve that one. So it's everybody supporting and mentoring one another, but also more established, long-term experienced weavers mentoring newer weavers is a lot of the dynamic that's going on. It's very cool. Very cool. And there's a lot of teachers in the group, and people who design projects for handwoven and stuff like that. So that's a cool aspect of it too. And a lot of people like Holly who take all kinds of workshops and so can tell us about other teachers that are out there. And it's a
Holly just commented that visitors are welcome.
Yes.
Don't have to be a member of the guild. Right.
That's right. And the information about all of the Seattle Weavers Guild study groups is on the Seattle Weavers Guild website. Is it on the public part of the site, Mom, or is it only on the members part of the site?
I think it's on the public part. Let me take a look here.
Which is seattleweaversguild.com, I believe.
That's right.
And certainly visitors are welcome.
No, study groups is on the members only.
But it's also, it's like $30 a year or $40 a year?
$40 a year. It's less for brand new members to join. Yeah.
They reel you in. And you can join from anywhere. So like I'm in several of the study groups. I lead one of the study groups. And in one of the study groups I'm in, there's a woman in, No, I've gone there and I don't actually know where they live, but they live, people live across the country.
Well, in S&M, we have Ohio and we have, is it Connecticut? I don't think she's in that. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Right, that's,
Well, and we have members, well, Pat is a member of the guild.
Yep.
And she's in Alabama
yep.
and Connecticut, Ohio, we have Alaska. Well, that's part of our Northwest. Anyway, lots of places.
Lots of places. And because all of the guild meetings are hybrid online, and we don't meet over the summer, but at the last meeting that I was there, one of the things that I can do for the guild is to be the Zoom wrangler, making sure people are muted when they should be muted, or that they're able to communicate when they're supposed to be able to communicate, just from the participants' point of view, not there's somebody else who does all the AV stuff for the presenters. But we have 50 or 60 members connecting via Zoom for each meeting, in addition to the, what would you say, 60 to 100, depending on the month in the room.
Yeah. I mean, traffic is so bad around here that a lot of our members who are in nearby locations come by Zoom instead of, fighting the traffic. For
sure. And there are people who, are in Western Washington, but are still 3 or 4 hours away from Seattle, or people who are close by, but have, immune suppressed family members. And so they don't want to risk being in groups at all. There's all kinds of reasons why people might want to come to the virtual part of the meeting.
Yeah, and it's working pretty well now. I think it's quite smooth.
It's really great. And honestly, you get a really good view of the presentations. Participating in the meeting itself, you're kind of the people on the screen when there's a bunch of people in the room. But for the presentations, you've got their presentation right on your screen. You're not trying to see it from across the room. And they've switched to doing the show and tell. They call it hot off the loom. We call it hot off the loom. Listen to me. That has switched to being a slideshow, so that it's right on your own screen, so you can see the stuff really clearly rather than having it be on the other side of an auditorium. So there's a lot to recommend it. Holly is mentioning in the question and answer thing, I will copy and paste it into the chat too. The email address to contact the study group chair for the Seattle Weavers Guild, which is Holly, is studygroups@seattleweaversguild.com. Why is that not pasting? Copy, includes, and paste. Oh, that's host and panelists anyway. Everyone, here I am putting it in the chat, so you can email that email address and get more information about the study groups. Highly recommend. There's even an Overshot one led by somebody who knows something about Overshot. Okay, 7 o'clock. Anything else? Anybody? Ooh, what's up? Oh, is it .com or .org?
.com.
Yeah, .com.
Yeah.
That's the Seattle site and email address. Okay. Well, I'll give you another 30 seconds to get something into that Q&A box before I hit the big red end button. Jeopardy theme music. What's on your loom, Mom?
Nothing at the moment.
None of them?
No, I just finished taking off the last towels. There's a lady that's going to come. She went on to my Square website, which nobody has used for over a year and I never look at.
Mhm.
And she bought 3 towels, which I sold at this guild sale last year. So I thought, oh dear, I didn't update it well enough. I thought I'd updated it, but no. So I got in touch with her and she said, oh, well, that's all right. I don't, I like your work. And she's on Vashon frequently. So she's just going to come and pick 3 towels out of all the ones I've got. Oh dear.
Perfect.
Not only are weavers usually really nice people, but the customers are as well.
Yeah. People who value the skill and the labor that goes into making handmade stuff.
Well, she's the same one that bought the napkins and runner that I had here on display as part of the Vashon Island Visual Artists Show.
Was that the black and white and red set?
No, actually, it was kind of a jeans and natural turn twill with I changed the color down the middle of the of each towel, of each napkin, so that it individualized them.
Cool.
And I called them color-coded napkins.
Mhm.
So you can use them at the table over and over again, and people will know which one's theirs.
Right. I had the red napkin, etc.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, Jean is signing off.
Yeah. Bye, Jean. I think we're going to sign off too.
Yep.
Okay. Have a lovely evening, everybody.
Enjoy the summer.
Yes. Safely.
Yeah.
In or out of the sun as that requires. Okay. See you in August.
Bye.